Hello. Well, I'm like one of the first people. I just wanted to see if I could manifest.
All right, you guys, cut that out. You were lighting up. So
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
I'll go to my weight. So I believe in the power of manifestation. I understand the purpose, defining your purpose, aligning to your purpose. My weight, I just can't get under control.
Well, this is a really good example of something that is so in your awareness that it's hard for you to offer a vibration different than what you're observing. The same with the money that we were talking about earlier. Those things that are affecting you so frequently. Every time you move, every time you dress, every time you catch a reflection. In other words, you have this reaction to what is that's preventing what is from changing. And so the answer, we know it's annoying, but the answer is you've got to find some way of offering a vibration other than about what is, which means get off the subject if you can. Get off the subject, because above all things that you've thought about that the most. You've made the most requests, you've asked the most, you've put more solution in your vortex. You just can't find the clues. You just can't find a steady enough rhythm of thought. And so this may become a very boring seminar when every person that sits in the hot seat, we just say, you got to stop focusing on what is and find some way. If you believe at all that the vortex is, and if you believe at all that things are improving for you, then you've just got to let go of your grip on what is. And that is not an easy thing for humans who have been trained to face reality. You've been trained to tell it like it is, to be truthful about it, to not put your head in the clouds. You've been trained to weigh the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses and be real. And we're here telling you, if you keep being real, you can't change. Because what you're observing is so locked into your thought process. So here's what we would encourage you to do. Think in terms of food as fuel for a while. Don't think in terms of how it's affecting you in terms of size. Think of it in terms of how it's affecting you in terms of stamina, in terms of energy. Think of your food as fuel, just for a little while. And it's going to change the way you think about it, because there are foods that you are not eating that are full of fuel. And there are things that you are eating that are deceptively not full of fuel. And so if you let something other than the way the food affects the way you look be something that you're thinking about, then you can start improving your stamina. You'll start feeling the progress of the energy that's coming to you. You'll feel more like getting out and enjoying your physical body in more ways. There is nothing that slows you down more than discouragement. And discouragement is nothing more than looking at something in a way that is very different from the way your inner being is looking at you. So, do you think you have the ability to get off that subject?
Absolutely.
You know what makes it hard to do that is other people are on that subject. There are so many people on that subject. And so we don't think that you are reacting so much to your response as you are to the response of others. Do you have somebody up close to you who's giving you a hard time about this?
No one more than myself.
Well, that makes it much easier then, doesn't it?
It does.
Do you get what we mean when we talk about your relationship with your inner being?
I do.
And do you think that on this subject, or really any subject, that you have made your inner being important to your equation? In other words, do you care what your inner being thinks about this or that? Let's approach it this way. Esther said to someone the other day, do you think Abraham is real? To someone who apparently wasn't really behaving that way. Because Esther believes everything we say. Because she has never heard us say anything that didn't turn out to be the way that, in other words, so Esther has had enough experience to know. So, do you understand the clarity of your inner being?
I do.
Have you felt tuned in enough that you felt that you received a premonition or an inspiration or something that you knew was the way you should go on something?
Just this week.
So you have confidence in the clarity, the breadth of knowledge, the love, the knowing of your inner being.
Absolutely.
Well, we can feel that about you. And so since you know that, wouldn't you like to know, moment by moment, what your inner being thinks about everything? So when you feel derogatory, can you feel that that negative emotion is your offness from the way your inner being feels?
Definitely not in alignment.
So does it seem logical that you could stop in that moment as a bridging technique and just say, what do you all think about this? Just listen for that encouragement, because if you catch it early, you'll hear the encouragement. The encouragement will say, you're moving along well. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just relax a little bit. Give it some time. Don't panic about this. Your body knows what to do. Because this is something that most people don't know about their physical body. When you live life that causes you to request, when you're sick, you want to be well, and so forth. So all of this request by you is already known by your inner being. And your inner being, this is our favorite thing that we will ever say to you or anybody. Your inner being knows exactly where you are in terms of physical manifestation in relationship to everything that you desire. Your inner being knows exactly where you are in relationship to everything, and knows the path of least resistance to call you there. Now, we use those words, specifically path of least resistance, because who put the resistance on the path? You did. And is your inner being feeling blameful about that? No, not at all. But your inner being is mindful that there's resistance on your path, but still knows how to call you through the resistance to the results that you want. Did you hear that? About everything, about the relationship you're looking for, about the improvement that you're looking for, about the money that you're looking for, about whatever treasure it is you're looking for. Your inner being knows where it is, knows how you feel about it, knows how much resistance you've got, and knows how to call you around it. Did you hear us? And do you believe that at all? We so want you to hear that. So your inner being knows that about everything, but especially about anything that has to do with your physical apparatus, because your inner being is intricately intertwined with every one of the trillions of cells in your physical apparatus. Your inner being knows about your physical body. So your inner being knows about your relationship with everything that has to do with your physical body, relative to what you're consuming, relative to what you're ingesting, relative to what you're breathing through your nose, relative to what's coming through the pores of your skin, relative to your atmosphere, relative to everything. Your inner being understands all of that and knows what pieces of resistance to guide your cells over and under and around and through. So, the relationship of your cells and your inner being is masterful. Don't you find your physical beingness remarkable? Aren't you amazed at this intelligent glob of flesh, blood, and bone that you live in? Aren't you awed by the amazement of it? Esther felt that way over a chicken. Years ago, they went to the feed store and brought home 13 little chickens. And as she watched them evolve and then watched them become hens that could lay eggs, and then she watched the mother hen, one day the big black rooster herded the little hen over behind the air conditioner, and Esther said, "What's going on?" Wouldn't let her lay her egg where she always laid it, herded her over there. And the next morning the same thing, and the next morning till she had a nice pile of eggs. And then when she tried to leave, he wouldn't let her. And so she just sat there on those eggs. And in 21 days, 7 of them hatched into these beautiful little chicks. And Esther, it was just extraordinary to her that in such a short period of time, this little intelligent being came out and knew what to do. Very early in its short little life, its mother pecked it on the head and said, "Leave me alone, go dig up your own worms." It was extraordinary to see consciousness reflected in the physical. And with what you've got going on with your physical bodies, it's something to really be amazed at. Amazed and understanding at the involvement that your inner being has with your body. Now, what could possibly interfere with the communication that your inner being has with all of these trillions of cells? You. And your bad attitude about you. So the cells are asking and Source is answering, but you're in the way. I'm depressed today. Or I didn't like what she said or what he did. Or I didn't like what I saw on television. In other words, the most unimportant to you things you use as your focal point that just set up interference. So your cells are asking and your Source is answering, but the communication is hindered by the static of your mood. That's the best way that we can put it. Your mood. Your mood means everything about communication. And so if we were standing in any of your physical shoes, we would think about this subject and every other subject. Oh, Source is on this and feeding me a constant stream of inspired thought for my benefit. And in order for me to hear that stream, I need to cheer up, which means I need to get off the subjects that are bogging me down and on the subjects that cheer me up. Esther's really good at that with her radio dials. She's got buttons that she prefers, several of them on her dash in all of her vehicles. And if she hears something that isn't pleasing, she pushes another button. If that doesn't please her, she pushes another one. Then she found a button on her steering wheel that does the same thing. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, there. And then she listens to that wonderful song when they're coming together as lovers, but when they break up, she changes the subject. In other words, she goes to the movies that way. She clicks on the movies in the hotel rooms or in the theaters, and she watches them as long as they're good. And when they turn bad, she gets up and leaves. You have the ability to focus on what feels good. You have the ability to give your inner being an opportunity to talk to the cells of your body. And you know it's not about action. Look at the people in the world and the different way they approach everything. There are people eating so much more than you're eating. There are people eating all the good things that you want to eat. It's not about action. It's not about curbing action. It's about getting those thought ways open. It's about opening those circuits. It's about allowing the communication that your cells are asking for from the infinite intelligence that knows, you see. Nice to know, yes?
I received that, yes.
Yes, you did. Enough?
Yes.
Really good, and we are appreciating it.